All right, what's up, guys? Welcome. It is 5:58 on my end, so we've got like two minutes left. Then we'll get rolling. Where's everyone logging in from? Let me know where you're at. New Jersey, North Carolina, Orlando, Utah, home state of Utah, Chicago, upstate New York. Awesome. Tampa. Tampa's nice. I was in Tampa a few months ago. Very cool place. Good food there. Lots of restaurants. Miami, New York, Chicago. Sweet. Sacramento, New Haven, Dallas, Texas. New York. Yeah, the grouper. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the grouper restaurant I went to, but it's supposedly it's famous. It's right there on the beach in Tampa. All right. 6 p.m. Pittsburgh, Modesto, California. Cool. All right, I've got 6, so we'll get going, and as people roll in, we'll just continue there. We will do Q&A, guys, at the end. If you do have questions during the presentation, use the Q&A box. Don't type the questions in the chat. Use the Q&A box to type your questions, and then we'll get to it at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen here. We'll get rolling. I'm glad people are coming in, so it looks like the link is working, so that's good. All right, let's get going. So this training, how to make 10K a month in real estate without having to buy a property, wholesale, or become a real estate agent. So the question is this strategy something that used to work and no longer works, or does it work in today's environment? And of course, I'm going to say, yes, it works in today's environment, but here's some proof for you guys before we get rolling. These are a couple checks from my business from this year, 2021, and the monthly profit at the top. So this was January's results for us, couple of good sized checks. February was smaller, it was only a $25,000 month, and we didn't have any, big checks come in February. You've got this $4,000 one, this $3,000 one, another 4,000, another 5, and then I think we had an 8. So smaller checks, but a bunch of them came in, and those small checks can add up very quickly. Okay. Today is March 11th, so we're not done with March, but this is March so far. This came in on March 3rd of this year. So the reason I wanted to put this out there for you guys to begin with is this strategy is working today. Okay. It's not some antique old school strategy. It actually works in today's market. So let's go ahead and get started. A couple rules, guys. I hope we can have fun. I hope that you've learned something new. Please be interactive. Let's interact in the chat and also ask questions at the end. And of course, take action, guys. They say knowledge is power, right? But the bottom line is knowledge is only potential power. If you don't do anything with the new knowledge you obtain, you don't see a new result. And so if you're just consuming content, but you're never doing anything different, it's a waste of time at that point. So please take action, whatever you do. So I hope that's okay with everyone. So I wanted to start out with this question, and let me know in the chat, have you ever wondered what it would be like if you had an extra 5 to 10K coming in every month, and you only had to work part-time hours to get that? Let me know in the chat, how would your life be different if you just had an extra $5,000 to $10,000 coming in every month? What would that do for you? What would that do for your family? What would you do with that money? How would things be different? Let me know in the chat. I'm interested to see. Less stress. Amen. Yes. Amen. Freedoms of many kinds. I like that. Very cool. Take family vacations. Yes, absolutely. Love it. Would be able to do more work around the house, have more free time. Yes, absolutely. Could buy a house, donate time and money to a cause. Yes, absolutely. Vacations, travel. Yes. Work less. Free up some monthly bills. Financial freedom. Cool. Yep. Not have to worry about gas prices. Yes. Freedom, freedom. Cool. Awesome, guys. I love it. I love all those answers. They're all true answers. Nonprofit for vets. Hell yes to that one. Invest in more property. Awesome. Invest in real estate. Yeah. Take your profits and go buy assets. I love that. Beautiful. All right, cool, guys. So what we're going to cover is a 5-step process. And this is a process that allowed me to go from my job working as a corrections officer to go on to make 6 figures working about 30 hours a week. Disclaimer, now I can't promise those results to everyone. I can only share my results and my experiences, okay? But this is one of the simplest ways to make money in real estate because you're not buying property. So you're not risking anything. You're not risking any of your own money, that is. And you don't have to buy properties. You don't have to fix them up. It's a system that can allow you to live life on your terms. You know, a lot of you mentioned freedom. This strategy can give you freedom. We're going to go over some statistics, case studies, and things of that nature. And disclaimer, guys, there's going to be an invitation at the end for you to join me. Just a disclaimer, if that bothers you, you can log off now, but I want to put that out there and be upfront with you. So let's get into this. My promise, either way, whether you join me or not, is by the end of this presentation, you'll know 5 steps that, when followed, can help you do deals where you'll average 5 to 20K per deal profit. Okay. And you don't have to buy any property to do these deals. So what is the strategy? Okay. Let's talk about this for a minute. The strategy, guys, is recovering surplus funds and overages. Now, what does that mean for those of you that aren't familiar with that? So let's talk about foreclosures. A foreclosure, just to define it simply, is when somebody quits paying their mortgage, the bank will foreclose on a property. Before a bank takes a property back, they will put that property up for auction so that members of the public have an opportunity to buy that property. There's something that happens at these auctions. Sometimes competitive bidding will drive the price up, and sometimes properties will sell for more than what is owed to the bank. Okay. Quick example, if I own a house and I owe the bank $100,000, I quit paying my mortgage, the bank auctions it. And let's say an investor buys my house at the auction for $125,000. Now I only owe the bank 100, but it sells for 125. So 125 minus 100 is $25,000. That difference between what it sells for and what is owed, that difference of 25,000 is known as an overage or a surplus of funds. Okay. Are you with me on that? Does that make sense? Cool. Yes. Okay. I'll make sure everyone is with me. So that's known as a surplus funds and overage. Okay. What the strategy is we find people who are owed these overages and we help them get it. Because here's the thing, there's a problem. And the problem is most people don't know about their surplus. Most people don't know there's money owed to them. When there is surplus, the bank or the county, whoever, will send a notice that there's money available. They'll usually send a letter to the house that gets sold. And this is weeks after the auction. So the problem is the homeowner that's entitled to the surplus is probably not living there, and they never receive this notice, and they never know about the surplus. Okay. Here's an example of how much money we're talking about. This is a list from one state from just mortgage overages, $193 million. This is one state in the United States, and this is just mortgage overages. Okay. I specialize in two types of overages: mortgage overages, which I call MOs. These are surplus funds generated from foreclosures. There's also tax sale overages, which I call TOs. And this is when somebody quits paying their property taxes, and the county can also auction off their property to recoup the property taxes. Okay. So there's two types of overages. All right. So the problem is most people don't know about their surplus. And what we do is we find these people, help them recover their surplus. We earn a commission on the back end. And we'll get more into the detailed steps of how that works here in a minute. But the reality is what we are seeing because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic last year, a lot of people have gone into forbearance. A lot of people have stopped paying their mortgage payments. And there's a wave forming. When the evictions and the foreclosure moratoriums stop, a lot of people are going to probably lose their homes, which is very unfortunate. But at the same time, it means there's also going to be a lot of properties selling and a lot of surplus funds being generated from these auctions. And so there's a wave forming because of this pandemic that we had last year. Foreclosures and tax sales are going to skyrocket. They already have been. The tax sales right now are crazy. It's amazing how many properties are being sold at tax sales right now. I was looking at a list in Florida last week, and we're talking millions of overages just out of one county. It's crazy. So the time is now to get involved. And the cool thing about this industry is it's not very widely regulated. It's mostly small businesses like us. There is competition, but it's considerably lower than other real estate industries. For example, I used to be a real estate agent. I had my license. In my state, there's over 1,000 real estate agents. So I'm competing with all those. But people doing this niche, recovering surplus funds, less than 100 people in my state. So is there competition? Yes, but it's much lower than other industries. And it's not widely regulated, meaning you don't need you don't need a license, you don't need experience, you don't need any special certifications to get involved, okay? So now some of you probably already know my story. For those of you that don't know my story, I'm going to quickly go through this just so you have a background of where I come from. My first job out of high school was cleaning toilets for the United States Forest Service. That's what I'm standing on here. We did other stuff too. It was a really cool job, but that's where I started out in life, making $11 an hour cleaning toilets. Then I met a lady, we got engaged, and I was like, I should get a real job. So I moved up in life and started working at the Utah State Prison as a corrections officer. I started out at $16 an hour, working 12-hour graveyard shifts. A great job. Instead of cleaning up people's poop, now I had to worry about people throwing their poop on me. That's known as getting slimed in the corrections industry, for those of you that don't know. Luckily, I never came across that, but know people that did. But here's the thing. So someone's saying, hey, Sujil, I think you're the only one that's having the issue with the audio, so it might be on your end. No one else is complaining. Everyone can hear me okay, right? Yes? Okay. Sujil, I think you're the only one having that issue, man. I'm sorry. All right. maybe I should close that so I don't get distracted. Squirrel. All right. So anyway, guys, back to my story. Worked at the prison. I also did some probation officer work. This is actually a picture of the prison, one of the blocks I worked at. This is called A East. And yeah, so we started moving up in life. We bought an ugly green house, me and my wife. This is my little Toyota pickup truck that I still drive today. And we were moving along. But the reality was, I quickly realized that if I stayed in that job, I was not going to get where I wanted to go in life. This is what I made working as a corrections officer, but I actually made less than this because this is a joint tax return. So my wife is on here and she contributed about 10 to 15K a year. So I was making, around 30 something thousand a year as a corrections officer. Probation paid better. I was in the 40s, but I looked at this, guys, and I looked at the path in my retirement that I would get if I stayed there working 25 years. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember thinking, I can't do what I want if I stay where I am now, meaning if I work at the prison. And so I started looking for a way out. I started looking for opportunities to be able to replace my income and leave my job as a corrections officer. And I looked into real estate because I had heard, that a ton of millionaires are made in real estate. I don't know where I heard that, but I heard it somewhere, probably on YouTube. So I started looking into real estate. I would buy courses. I would put them on credit cards because I didn't have the money to pay for them in cash. And I would work overtime to pay off those credit cards. And I started out doing something called wholesaling. I had some success doing that, but I didn't feel good about it. Because essentially in wholesaling, you're going to homeowners and trying to give them an offer you're trying to offer less than what their property is worth. And then what you do is you get that property under contract and you sell the contract or you resell the property for more than what you offered the homeowner. I had some success, but I didn't like that strategy. It was very competitive and it was tough. But then something happened. I came across a course that taught me about these overages. Now they just taught me about tax sale overages. And I did this deal where I found a lady who was owed $13,000 in surplus funds. And we were able to recover that money for her. And I got a net profit of $5,000. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. Because instead of trying to convince people to, sell their house at less than what it's worth, I'm actually trying to give them money back. And it was a defining moment, a pivot point for me. Fast forward to fall of 2017, me and my wife made a decision that I was going to leave my job at the Department of Corrections. So that's what I did. And I went into this real estate business full time, recovering overages. This is where I started my business. This is a closet located in the basement of my in-laws' house. That's where I started, guys. I'm not proud of me. I'm not proud to say that. I'm not proud to say that I had to sell my first house, move in with my in-laws and live in their basement and start my business from a closet. But that's my story. That's what I did. And from September to January of 2018, I didn't make a single dollar, not $1. And it was tough, man. Like I thought about quitting. I thought about going back to the prison. And then a breakthrough happened. And this deal paid out. This was one of my first mortgage overage deals. This property sold for about $175,000. They only owed $150 to the bank. After some attorney's fees, there was $23,000 left over. I found these people and helped them recover that money and was able to get a $10,000 profit. And then we did another deal. and then another deal. And we just kept rolling with that, just kept putting in the work. And by the end of 2018, I had doubled my income compared to me working at the prison. And then 2019, we continued to grow. 2020, don't have a tax return yet, haven't filed yet. I will soon. But here's a P&L of 2020. And life changed. Bottom line, life changed. We were able to travel, able to take my wife to places like Greece, Rome, Switzerland, Spain. And at bottom line, guys, is this strategy was my key and my ticket to freedom. And it can be the same key for you. Okay, so that's my story. Now let's get into the process. Is it okay with you if we start talking about what is the process of implementing this strategy? Are you cool with that? We go over that? Cool. All right. So through this process, I developed a formula that I call the overage profitability formula. And people always ask me all the time, well, if business is so good, why do you share with people? Why don't you just keep it a secret and try to, monopolize surplus funds or whatever? And the bottom line, guys, is there are so many people that are owed money that I can't do it all myself. And if some of you decide to partner with me, well, that helps my business. So I have a vested interest, and it does help me to share this knowledge because it helps grow my business. But also at the same time, I can't handle all of the business that's available out there. And I believe this is just my belief. But if you have knowledge that can help somebody else better their life and their situation, you have a duty to share that knowledge. Because if you have knowledge that can help someone and you don't share it, what kind of person does that make you? Okay. I'll let you answer that, but I don't want to be that person. So that's why I share what I share. Okay. All right. You may want to write these down. 5 steps. This is a formula. I call it 4C plus P because there's 4 C's and step 5 is a P. So step number 1 is to create leads. Step number 2, conduct research. Step 3, contact people. Step 4, close deals. Step 5, profit. Let's go into step 1, create leads. How do we do that? Okay, bottom line, guys, a lead, let's define that. A lead is someone who's owed money, someone who's owed a surplus funds. You can create leads simply by monitoring foreclosure sales or tax sales and seeing which properties sell for more than what was owed to the bank or to the county. Easy as that. Some counties provide lists of these properties that sold for more. There are lists of surplus funds. You can also make your own, which is what I recommend doing. But that's where you get your leads, is you find, okay, what property sold for more than the debt that was owed to the bank or the county. Okay. And there's 2 types that I talk about: mortgage overages and tax sale overages. We've already defined those. Okay. Easy enough. Are you with me so far? Yes. Yes. Okay. Good deal. So that's step 1. Create leads. Write that down if you didn't already. Create leads. Step 1. This is an example of the surplus funds list that I mentioned. This is a parcel number. This is each property in the United States has a parcel number. It's a unique number. It's like the address. Okay. This is also a list of the owners. These are the people that are owed the money. This is the address of the property. This is an older list. Whoops. And then over here is the amount owed. There's some small amounts, and there's also some large amounts, like this one here is 77,000, 22,000. So there's big and small. And before I go into this, again, you can get those lists or you can create your own by simply monitoring tax sales and foreclosures, okay? Now, step 2, conduct research. What does this mean? Researching has 2 parts. The first part is what I call skip tracing. Skip tracing is just it's gathering contact info for the person that's owed money, okay? It's just finding the people that are and contacting them, okay? This is where you get to play Sherlock Holmes. You get to track people down and say, hey, you're owed this money. Then you also want to research the case. You want to know if there are other people that may be owed the money or anyone else that may be entitled. What I mean by that is maybe there's a second mortgage or maybe there's a judgment lien. I could go a whole hour talking about that. But you just want to be able to look at the property and say, okay, this person's owed the money. Is there anyone else that's entitled to it? Okay. Use that using public records. So that's 2 parts to conducting research: skip tracing, just finding contact info, and researching, seeing is there anyone else owed this money? Okay, easy enough. Again, and we use free public resources to gather this information. An example right here. Here's an example of a court case that we did. You can actually go into the court records and see how much property sold for. You can see who's owed the money, things of that nature. This is also a website. This is a skip tracing website, completely free, where you can find people's contact info. You give this a try sometime after the training. Type in your name or type in the name of someone you know and the city you live in and see if they have your contact info. You'd be surprised what you can get for free nowadays. It's pretty crazy, okay? So we use these types of websites to track people down, okay? Make sense, guys? Step 2, conduct research. Cool? All right. Not going too fast? No? All right. Okay, step 3, contact people. Easy enough. We do this a variety of ways. We'll get on the phone, we'll text people, send them an email, send them a letter, message them on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. It doesn't matter, just as long as you get in touch with people and let them know, hey, there's money owed to you, okay? Now, it's good to have a script. That way you know what to say. And a lot of people struggle with this step because it's kind of, especially if you're an introvert like I am, I struggled with this. I struggled with calling people. And so it's good to have a script to kind of guide you through the process, okay? And you just let people know that why you're calling. Because at the end of the day, if people don't know who you are and how you can help them, then you're never going to do business with them, okay? And so you just need to explain why. Why are you contacting them? Well, I'm calling because it looks like this property sold for this much, and it looks like you only owe this much. I think you may be owed some money. It's as simple as that, okay? So that's step 3, contact people. Step 4 is to close the deal. And what this entails is basically just getting some simple paperwork signed. You can get a fee agreement along with some other docs. And that fee agreement basically just says what you're going to do for them. And in exchange, what is your percentage? How much are you going to take of those surplus funds? I always like to give the majority to the homeowner. Unless it's like a really small amount, like if it's like 5,000, 6,000, then we'll usually do like a 50-50 split. But anything over 10, we'll do like 60-40. The average is 70-30, where the homeowner gets 70% and I'll take 30. That's my average commission. Every deal is different. It's whatever you negotiate, okay? And the cool thing is this is a virtual business. It can be done from home. If you have access to the internet and you have a way to call people, you can do this business from anywhere. Now, once you have everything signed, I like to submit everything to an attorney. Helps me save time, helps me save money. But there are some places where you don't need an attorney. You can do it on your own. Me personally, I prefer to use an attorney because, again, I don't want to be spending time filling out forms. I want to be spending time finding people that are owed the money. Okay. So I use attorneys to help me get more deals. This is an example of a fee agreement that you can use to sign clients up. Now, this leads us to the final step of the process, and that's to profit. Okay. Now, 3 to 4 months on average is how long it takes for the deal to pay out, from the time that you submit the paperwork to the time you get a check. I will say this, last year in 2020, this number increased a little bit to more like 5 or 6 months because of COVID. The good news is they were still accepting claims. They were just taking a little longer to pay out. 3 to 4 is the average. And then once you get your check, you'll want to celebrate, take your fam out to dinner. Don't blow all the money, put some back into your business, reinvest it. But yeah, you can celebrate, go out to dinner, go on that vacation, and then repeat this process. Okay. Don't just do it once, but reinvest and repeat this process so that you can fill your pipeline with a bunch of leads. And that's how you get those $10,000 months, is you have multiple deals pay out in the coming months. Okay. All right. So that's the process, guys. Quick overview again. Step 1, create leads. Step 2, conduct research. Step 3, contact people. 4, close the deal. 5, profit. That's the overage profitability formula. That is the step-by-step process I used to get the results that I showed you guys earlier. Okay. Does that make sense? Can you see yourself doing that? Would something like this work for you? Yes, cool. Now, let me be clear. It's pretty simple, but you do have to work, guys. You do have to put in effort. You got to research, you got to contact people. This does not get rich quick. You have to do the work. You have to serve people. Okay, let me be clear. Business is simple, but simple does not mean it's easy. Okay. Here's a few case studies for you guys. This is Wes, one of my students. He was a former plumber. He left that job and he does this, I would say full-time, but he's not putting in full-time hours. This is actually old. He's actually up around 70K now, but he's averaging 5K a deal. So that's Wes. This is Evie. She's a mom. She is very busy. She's also a military spouse. And she has a full-time job. So she does this part-time. And let me make something clear. You don't have to do this as a full-time business like me in order to see success. You can do this part-time. Okay. So you can put in a few hours here and there like Evie does. She was working part-time, sporadic hours. Her first deal, she earned over $10,000 on her first deal. She worked hard and she earned it. This is Elmer. This is one of his first checks. Elmer's got over 20 deals now, doing very well for himself. I love Elmer's story. He actually got involved in this business because he went through a cancer, and after he beat it, he beat cancer, but then he has some medication that he has to continually take. And apparently this medication costs $500 a month with insurance. So he was like, I need something that I can do from home part-time to help me pay for my treatment. And well, he's paid for his treatment and then some. So Elmer's story is really cool. This is Sherilyn. This is she did a deal last year. You can tell because of the masks. She made over $20,000 on her first deal, and the gentleman holding the check is her client, and he really needed this money. Well, he lost his house, obviously, but then after that, he lost his job, he lost his car. The building in the background is actually a homeless shelter that he was staying at. And his portion was like $60,000. So life-changing amount of money for this gentleman. Yeah, the money is good in this business, but this is one of the better parts about this business is it is a true service and it helps people. And it can be life-changing after a very traumatic event. Foreclosure is traumatic. Losing your home is traumatic. But to be able to get something out of that experience and maybe get some closure out of it with a nice check really helps a lot of people. Okay. This, I actually just threw this in today. I'm not going to read the whole thing for time's sake, but this is Mitch. He's one of my students. He posted this today in our Facebook group. This is a free Facebook group. You guys can all be a part of it. There's the name of it up here. But yeah, you know, he just kind of gave me a little testimonial, but then he's like, I'm a rookie trying to make it work. He's been doing this for about 7 months. He has 3 cases that have paid out, 23 that have been filed, and he'll do well over 6 figures his first year. So pretty awesome. Want to congratulate Mitch. Yeah, he just posted that today. So I just threw that in here at last minute. Here's a couple other case studies, guys. This was a deal in Texas that we did. You can see the net profit there, picture of the house. This is an older deal, one of my higher net profit deals. They can be big or small. So those are some examples. Question, how many of you would like to get some checks like these? How many of you would love to be a success story like the ones I just showed you? Anyone? Me? Cool. Absolutely. Heck yeah, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, like imagine this. Imagine if, you know, some of the checks I showed you had your name on it. And let's just say you've made an extra 5 or 10K a month, or maybe even you only do one deal a year. You make an extra 10K a year for the rest of your life. You do one deal a year for the next 20 years. What's that worth to you? You know, 10K could be that dream vacation every year, depending on how big your family is, of course. At the end of the day, life can change quickly, as it has for me. And it can do the same for you. So just imagine what this business could do for you. Okay. So I'm going to go through my, here's my invite to you. I want to invite you to consider joining the Overage profitability formula so you can make more money, do what you want, go achieve your goals, go get those things that you guys mentioned at the beginning of the call. Go get that freedom. Okay. So I have a course that I've created. I'm going to just go through what that entails, and then we'll do some Q&A. Is that fair with you guys? Is that okay? Cool. Yes. Awesome. Fair enough. Love it. All right, guys. So I have a course. It includes a lot of things. We'll just start off. First thing, I teach you the whole process that I've gone over here. Each of those steps that we went over today, I could probably talk for a couple hours on each step. Because at the end of the day, each step entails specific items that you need to do, right? So step number 1 is to create leads. And so I've created the Instant Overage Leads Cash Flow Blueprint. This teaches you how to find those lists and how to build your own lists, okay? Where do you find these leads? Now, the next thing is, how do you do the research? How do you get those deals that you know are going to pay out to you and your client? And so I created this deal analyzing formula so that you can only go after the good deals, because there are some deals you just don't want to pursue because there may be second mortgages, liens, things of that nature, other people entitled to the funds, okay? So you want to identify those deals. Then you want to be able to find people that no one else can find. The finding people is sometimes the hardest part about the business, because sometimes when someone goes through a foreclosure, they may be also trying to avoid other debt collectors. So they can be hard to find sometimes. But if you're able to find someone that no one else can find, well, then you're at an unfair advantage. And you can lock the deal down with more people. So I teach you how to do that. How do you find those folks that are just hard to find? Okay. I also include scripts, so you know what to say, so you can get the deal closed. I include that in the course. Along with all of the forms, the contracts, everything you need to be able to put the deal together. You just plug in their name, plug in your percentage, you're good to go. Okay. I also partner with my students on deals. Now, of course, you don't have to partner with me. Everything you need to be successful on your own is inside the course. But if you want to partner with me, you can. What that looks like is you find the deal, you contact them. I provide the attorney. I pay all the expenses of the attorney. And then we have different levels. We do on the one I just mentioned, we have a 50-50 split. There's also some other levels where if you want to make more by doing a little extra work, you can do that. So there's a partnership program in there. Okay. I went over all that really fast, but this is everything you get. It's taken me several years and a lot of money to figure this all out on my own. You know, the value is at least 10,000. I mean, you saw some of the deals that we've done. Evie, for example, she made 10,000 on her first deal. Sherilyn made 20,000 on her first deal. Mitch is on his way to 6 figures. So 10,000, I think, is a small price, but it's not going to cost $10,000. You know, it's only 2,000. However, let me say this. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your Thursday night. So what I decided to do is, if you want, I'm going to post a link in the chat, and you can knock an extra $500 off that price. Okay. So I'll put it in the chat. So it's not 2,000. It's just going to be $1,497. And there's a link for you guys. Okay. Here's a couple testimonials of other students. This is Dan. He's done a bunch of different courses, actually. He says he's done 10 other overage courses and multi-day workshops, and the information shared within is the best of all the online courses I've purchased. Received my money's worth in the first half of the content. Yeah. And there's Jay. I don't have the full picture. Should probably make a different slide, but here's Jay. He took a picture of 4 different checks he got, totaling almost 100K. And then prior to that, he had actually gotten 2 others paid out for 15K. I love this. I work a full-time job, but I'm about to resign, putting in approximately 20 to 30 hours per week. So awesome stuff. If you want, guys, let me do this. Let me share this other screen with you. And I'll just share with you real quick. So this is the course. This is where you can find it. You can see this, yes. So if you want, you can go through here. You can look at some of the other testimonials. If you click on that link in the chat, this is where it will take you. So you can read through these, read what other people have to say. If you want to read more about me, I don't know why you would, but there you go. And you can see the whole curriculum of the course and what you'll learn, okay, and what's included. So here's the leads, cash flow blueprint, no competition researching, the scripts. Here's the vault, the forms, partnering system. And then there's also some bonuses as well inside the course. And then some frequently asked questions, all that good stuff. Okay. I guess I'll mention too, there's a couple bonuses as well. Oh, I do have a money back guarantee. For those of you that like those guarantees. We all like guarantees, right? End of the day, guys, if you generate 50 leads and you don't get one deal, I'll buy the course back from you, okay? You should be able to get at least 1 or 2 deals out of a list of 50 leads. And it's not hard to get that many leads. It really isn't. So can't get one, I'll buy it back from you. I have a couple bonuses. I do have, so in my business now, I like to use virtual assistants. And instead of teaching you how to use a virtual assistant, I just give my virtual assistant to my students. If you want to use them, that's a bonus I throw in the course. You don't have to, but it's there. I also teach you some ways that you can earn while you're learning, while you're doing this business. So there's a multiple streams of income secrets. It's like a little mini course I put in there. There's a 50-state guide. So one thing that's tough about this business is every state's a little different. And so what I've done is I've compiled a list of all 50 states, the different laws, the different processes, things of that nature, so that you can go through and get kind of a quick overview of how the process works in all 50 states. Okay. And so those are some bonuses included. Again, I actually think the course is much more valuable, but it only cost you $2,000. But if you use that coupon link I sent in the chat, it's $1,500. Or you could go to college. I actually went to college, and I'm not going to say college is a scam, because college is important for a lot of degrees and, you know, doctors, lawyers, things of that nature. But the cost of college nowadays is insane. 40, I think, is the average, and that's if you're going to like a community college. It's just crazy for a 4-year degree. There's also, you could buy a franchise. You could go buy a job. The average cost of a franchise is about $150K. Or you can invest not $2,000, but $1,500 today and get a skill that will allow you to do deals and get paid for a lifetime. So that's it. So let's, I'm going to go to the Q&A, guys. Good deal. We're under an hour, so that's good. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I hope that's okay. I go on a lot of webinars myself, like just watching webinars. And sometimes it's like you're an hour and a half in and you're like, holy cow, get to the point, right? So I hope that wasn't too long for you guys. I hope you learned something. Hope you learned something new. And again, yeah, would love to see you. If you don't join, totally cool. I hope you learned something new and that it helps you. For some of you, you may be a savvy real estate investor and you probably maybe you don't need the course and you know exactly what to do now. And if that's the case, awesome. Please let me know when you get that first deal. I love to hear people's wins and love to hear about other people's successes. So, all right, guys, let me go to the Q&A box. Oh, people aren't seeing where the link is. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me post it in the link again. So there's the link. It's in the chat box, okay? It's in the chat. Can you all see it there? You should be able to see it. I'll post it a couple times. People are saying they can't see the link. Still no link. What is going on here? Posted it twice and it's still not coming in. Aha. Who told me that? Marco? All panelists and all attendees. Let's see if this works. Aha, I see it now. Who gave me that little, who was that? Somebody gave me, I think it was Marco. Someone's like, hey, change it to all panelists and attendees. Awesome. Well, thank you. See, I'm not a tech. Here's another thing, guys. You don't need to be tech savvy to be successful. You're awesome, Marco. Thank you. Very cool. All right. So Carmen asks, how do you pay taxes on your income? Great question. So the money you receive, you only pay tax. You should only pay taxes on your profit. Okay. You shouldn't be paying taxes on the whole amount you receive. Now, again, I'm not a CPA, cannot give tax advice, but basically you are taxed on your net profit of the deal. And then the homeowner or your client, they need to pay taxes on their portion. I just have them, have them consult their CPA as well. Okay. Man, we could have a whole conversation on taxes. When you start making a certain amount. So here's one thing, guys. I may be answering another question, but when I first got started, I had like an LLC, but it was just a sole proprietorship. So it was like, what I'm getting at is you don't need an actual business to begin. You just need to get started, and then you can get an LLC down the road. But when it comes to taxes too, different types of LLCs can be taxed differently. You can be taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp. And whatever's best for you is going to be determined by how much you're making in that business. So it's very important when you do start making money, set some of that money aside to hire a good CPA. That's something, it's an investment that will save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Okay. I will tell you right now, when I first started, all the money I was making from my business would just flow to my personal tax return. When I started actually making a lot of money, over 60K, I converted my LLC into an S corporation, and that saved me a ton of money. Okay. But again, consult your CPA with that. So right now I have an LLC taxed as an S Corp. How do you make your own list? So I teach that in the course, but the bottom line is you need to gather info from foreclosures and tax sales and identify the properties that sold for more than the debt owed to the bank or the county for back taxes. Navu, I don't know if I said that right. Some counties provide lists, some don't, okay? With tax sale overages, it's easier to get lists. With mortgage overages, you usually have to make your own lists. So if you're brand new to like real estate, tax overages is a little more easier to get leads. However, I will say mortgage overages seems to have less competition. Great question, Joe. I don't have an exact number of how many student partners I have right now. I've got probably like 10 or so that are consistently sending deals. And then I have like a student here and there where we'll do one deal or two deals together. And then they go off on their own and they fly solo, which is totally cool too. So I don't know exactly how many. And there's always new ones coming in. Like today I got a new referral from one of my students. So great question though. Great question. Where can you find lawyers if you work different states? Google knows all. Google knows all. Honestly, guys, I use Google, or there's a website called avvo.com, avvo.com. Easy place to find attorneys. I also do cover that more in depth in my course, but I just go online and send out emails, send phone calls, all that good stuff. Okay. Yes, guys, if you sign up for the course, you get access forever, along with any upgrades as well. Those are included. Can I apply these skills for unclaimed funds as well? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely you can. Process is just a little different with unclaimed funds because you're usually dealing with funds that are being held by the states. But the process is pretty much the same. You find a lead, you identify someone that's owed money. And if it's an unclaimed fund being held at the state, that's fine. You find that person, contact them, get a contract signed, get the proper paperwork necessary by the entity holding the funds, and you file your claim. So absolutely. Great question. So someone asked, does the cost of the program include one-on-one mentoring? No, Craig. Well, I don't do like one-on-one phone calls. So if that's what you're expecting, then the answer is no. However, I will say this. Let me see if I can go in here and I'll show you guys. So as far as like support goes, there's Facebook group, there's email support, and then we also have something that's kind of cool inside the course. I'll see if I can show it to you guys. Underneath each module, there's a section to ask questions. There's like a chat box. And so people will ask questions under each video. And I will go in and I will answer those myself. Okay. So in that sense, there is mentoring. But if it's like one-on-one phone call, there's none of that, just to be transparent. Where is the comments? Here it is. So like here is, here, I'll show you guys. See if you can see. So this video is, oh, sorry about that. So like this is looking inside the course. You know, you have your modules here on the left side. I like to do videos. I like to show you how I do the business. So I do a lot of screen share. It's almost as if you're looking over my shoulder, watching me do the business. And then you'll see down here, you know, we have like a discussion board, and then I'll go in and I'll answer people's questions. So in that sense, there is some mentoring there. So hope that answers the question. Good question, Jalen. Can I quit my job for this and make a living off of this? Yeah, I mean, it depends on what do you want to make, right? I mean, obviously for me, I quit my job and started doing this and made a much better living doing this than what I did before. Hard for me to answer that question because I don't know what you do for a living and what you're expecting as far as income. But myself and my other students have quit their jobs and done this full time. But you don't have to do this full time to be successful, okay? So good question. Some states do have fee limitations, and we do talk about that in an advanced program I have. There's a whole, I do like a 2-hour class on how to overcome fee limitations in my 60-day program. It's kind of an advanced strategy. So if you're going to do states that have fee limitations, at first you may just want to go with those limitations or just work another state that doesn't have them. One thing I will say also is with mortgage overages, there tend to be less limitations. Great question, Joe. What happens to the money that is not claimed by the homeowner? Depends on the state. So in some states, if the money's not claimed by a certain time period, then the county or the state gets to keep that money. It's really crazy. In some states, like Michigan, for example, now this is about to change because of a recent Supreme Court decision for the state of Michigan. But Michigan, for tax sales, if your house sold at a tax sale for more than what you owed, the county got to keep all the money, all the extra money. Now that is going to change here shortly, again, because of a recent court decision, but every state is different as far as timelines, how long you have to claim, things of that nature. Does the overage get claimed by the mortgage company? So I'm not sure if there's a second mortgage. So let's say I have a house, I quit paying my first mortgage, forecloses, there's money available. Any money available would first go to the second mortgage if they file a claim. Some of them don't. So I'm not sure if that answers the question or not. Why don't you do inheritance payouts? So I think this is referring to estate cases, what I would call estate cases, where someone has passed away and you're helping the heirs. And the answer is we do that. I just may call it something different than you. I like to call those estate cases. If the homeowner has passed away and there's money owed to the estate, then we'll try to get that money for the heirs. Do you need a business license to do this in another state than where you live? Not that I'm aware of. Like I have done deals in Washington, Nevada, California, Arizona, Texas, Utah, Florida, Tennessee, Maryland, Georgia, Ohio, have some in Indiana, have some in New York. So, and we don't have business licenses in all of those states. So no, you don't need a business license in every state. So how does COVID play a part in this industry for 2021? So like I mentioned in the beginning, COVID, I think, is causing a wave to form, meaning I think because of COVID, there are going to be a lot more foreclosures and a lot more tax sales, and that's going to generate a lot more overages and surplus funds in this business. That's the role that COVID has played, is it's increased the business, or it's going to substantially. And we're already seeing that so far in 2021. What was the longest overage date you retrieved? What was the longest that it took? So I've had some cases I've had some where, and this is why I don't like unclaimed funds, unclaimed funds, meaning the state has the funds. When you're dealing with the state, I've had some where I'm going through the state and it's taken like 9 months, almost a year to get the funds. So I've had cases that last that long, but the average is 3 to 4. Do you need a website to get started? You don't need one, but it helps to have one. I have a referral that I give my students to have their own custom website built for them. Other courses may provide you a website, but just know that it's the same website for all their students. There's no customization there. So instead of just giving the same website to all my students, I just figured I should just give them a referral so they can customize and get their own website created for them. So that's what I do. What other expenses other than the course do we have with this business? Great question. So for me, I pay, sometimes I'll mail stuff out and I'll use a priority mail envelope. Like for example, this one right here. You don't have to use these, but these cost about $7, and I'll send 2 to 4 of these maybe a week. So that's what is that? About $30 a week in mailings, but you don't have to use these. That's just something I like to do. One thing you can do to save on mailing costs is email the paperwork to your client, have them print it off and send it back to you. In some states, you can use electronic signatures. So you can use things like DocuSign. You don't have to have original copies in some states. So if you're sending out letters, you may want to budget a couple $100 a month if you want to send out a bunch of letters, but you don't have to send out letters. You could just stick to phone calls and emails. So it really depends on what other expenses? Well, it depends on what do you want to do? Do you want to send letters? Do you not want to send letters? At the end of the day, you could get away with maybe, I would say on the low end, you should probably budget, maybe 100 to 200 bucks a month for things like your skip tracing software. That may run $20 to $50 a month. But there's also free services that I show you in my course. If you send out letters for marketing, you want to make a budget for that. Maybe if you do 20 letters a week. So what is that? What are stamps now? 55 cents. So if you do 20 a week, that's $10. So another $40 for letters. It just depends, guys. But to get started, maybe 100 to 200 bucks a month, and then you can grow from there. What do I consider a lead? Anyone that's owed money as a result of a tax sale or foreclosure. Oh, great question. So how do I identify yourself to these homeowners? If you have a business name, you can say, hey, my name's Nick. I'm with Overage Refund Specialists. The reason I'm calling is because of this property. If you don't have a business name, just tell them who you are. Just say, hey, my name's Nick. The reason I'm calling is because of this property on 123 Main. Looks like you may be owed some money, and then go into your spiel. That's how I do it. When you submit a claim, how do you know it's approved? Is there ever a time when it can be rejected? So you get notice. If you're using an attorney, your attorney will get notice and then they'll notify you. Or if you're doing it yourself, they'll send you a letter or an email saying, they'll say, hey, it's been approved, or they'll say, we need this with your claim. So I'll be honest, I've had claims that have been rejected. But the nice thing is, if it's rejected, sometimes they'll say, this is what you need to fix it. And they tell me what I need to give them. So it's okay if you get rejected on the first go. Sometimes they'll just say, we can't approve this, but if you give us this, then we can approve it. So it can be rejected, but if it does, it doesn't mean it's a dead end. Okay. As far as attorneys, when I contact attorneys, what do I request of them? I'm trying to see if they have experience in this niche. I'm trying to see if the attorney knows about surplus funds or overages, if they've filed claims for people before. That's the first thing I want to learn from an attorney that I'm contacting. All right. Yes, great question. Do you run into people that won't sign the agreement and go around you to claim your money? That has happened to me. It has. And if you're in this business for any amount of time, it will happen to you. At the end of the day, I don't worry about it. I can probably count on one hand how many times that has happened to me. So it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Okay. And if you're in this business long enough, it will happen to you. It is what it is. Here's the thing, guys. This business, it is a service-based business. Okay. And whenever you're running a service-based business, there's always the chance that your potential customer will do it themselves. Okay. It's like changing the oil in your car. Changing the oil in your car is not difficult. It is a very simple task. You can go on YouTube and know how to change the oil in your car in about 10 minutes. And then it could take you maybe 10 to 20 minutes to actually do it. But what's the reality? How many people actually do change their oil? The reality is most people, they pay someone to do it for them. And that's what I found in this business as well. There will be some that will recover their funds themselves, but the majority, they don't want to deal with it. They'd rather pay someone to do it for them, which they're not really paying us anything because they're not paying anything up front, right? We're just taking a percentage on the back end. So just be aware, guys. There will always be someone that will want to do it themselves. In fact, I'll give you a golden nugget. I will acknowledge to my client that they don't need to use me, that they can go do it themselves. They'll just have to make sure they do it right, pay the expenses, and make sure it's, and take the time out of their day to go and do it. Or they can let someone like me do it for them. And I give them that choice, okay? Everybody has a choice. You can put in your agreement, you can include what is called a circumvention clause in your fee agreement to protect yourselves from people going around you. And I do have one of those in my contracts where it's like, if they sign and they go around me after they sign, then there's going to be some repercussions from that, some consequences. Okay. You can, and I have that in my contract. Same contract you can download in the course. So there is that. You can put that in your agreement to protect you from people from after they sign trying to get it themselves. You can do that. Cool. All right, guys. Well, that's everything in the Q&A box. If you weren't putting it in the Q&A box, then I probably missed it. Let me open the chat. Let's see. Oh, geez. Bunch of questions in the chat too. Okay, we went over, we answered that already. Answered that. So how long are the contracts? Are they simple one-page type? There, you can get a simple one-page fee agreement. Mine is like 3 or 4 pages, so it's a little lengthy, but pretty simple to understand. Answer that. Lead if someone owed money. What types of tasks would you have a VA do? Great question. I have my VA. I've had VAs research cases for me. I've had them skip trace or find contact info for people. I've had some do lead generation. I've had some even make phone calls for me and close deals. I've had virtual assistants close deals for me. So it's whatever you want. Do I still offer my 60-day elite program? Yes, I do. And let me know your feedback on this, Ian. Like, I'm wondering what people would prefer. So the 60-day program is a more advanced thing where we just do more in-depth training. And what I've been considering is, would people, so the 60-day consists of 10 weeks of once a week coaching calls. And I'm wondering if people would prefer to bring all of that down into like a 3-day live or virtual event. So let me know your thoughts on that. What would you prefer? Would you prefer 10 weeks of once a week coaching calls so that you can implement what you learn every week? Or would you just get it all over with and cram it into 3 days? So I'm looking to change it, but I think the next one will start. There's a waiting list right now. You can email me, nick@overagesyndicate.com, if you want to get on the waiting list for that. We might start another one here at the end of the month. Yeah, so there's no payment plan on the 1497 deal. I'm sorry. The thing I host my course on doesn't, if I create a coupon, I can't like create a coupon for the payment plans. So it's kind of a bummer. So sorry about that. We answered that. We answered support. So the VA I've trained. Okay, cool. So lawyers, I reserve my lawyers for my deals and the deals I do with partner deals. And attorneys there's three ways attorneys will charge, guys. This is a good question. So one is hourly. They'll charge an hourly rate. And when you're dealing with these claims, you're looking at maybe 4 hours of work on average, okay? 2 to 4. And it actually, hourly I have found is actually usually the cheaper route. The downside is sometimes you have to come out of pocket, right? Which sometimes we don't want to do. So hourly is one way attorneys get paid. A second way is a flat rate. Okay, just you negotiate a flat rate. Like I have an attorney where I pay him a flat rate of $750 to file a claim for me. And if all goes well, that's all I pay him. Doesn't matter how much the overage is. Then there may be some attorneys that will charge a flat rate, but they'll take it out of the surplus. So they get paid when you get paid. And that's really nice. And that goes into the third one, which is contingency. Contingency means some attorneys will work on contingency, meaning they'll get paid a percentage of the deal on the back end. That's usually the most expensive because they're taking a portion of your deal. But the good thing is you don't have to come out money out of pocket for that, which is nice. And then my favorite is when you negotiate a flat rate and they take it out of the surplus on the back end. That's my favorite way because then you know exactly what the expense is and you don't have to come out of money out of pocket. Hourly is usually the cheapest though, surprisingly, in my experience. What percent would you take? Let's say it's multiple people owed the money. Let's say 5 heirs and the amount is 600 or 6,000 or something. Yeah, if there's multiple heirs, I'll try to negotiate a higher percentage because it's more work, right? You have to have each heir sign, or unless they designate one person to act on behalf of everyone else. Their heir cases are usually more work, so I'll try to negotiate a higher percentage because of that. How do you put a claim in for the former homeowner? You file the paperwork that's required by the entity holding the funds, and that differs from each state. How many hours is your course? Oh, that's a great question. I'm not even sure anymore. If you guys dedicate like an hour a day, you should be able to get through it in about a week or two. But I honestly don't know, guys, because every time I learn something new, because I'm still doing the business myself, and when I learn something new and I think it's valuable and important, I'll add it to the course. So if you would have joined a year ago, the course would have had much less content than what it has now, and I'm constantly adding to it. So, but I should go through and see how many hours are in there now. It's a lot. Commercial properties can create overages, yes. So you can put your letterhead on the fee agreement or your attorneys, whichever you want. Yes, you can overcome fee limits in Arizona. I've personally done that. All right, cool. Some good feedback there. Yeah, the 60-day program, Ray, if it's a new person coming on, it's $5,800. How much is the VA? That depends on how many hours they work for you. You can negotiate a set amount of hours and then pay them that predetermined amount. So it's how much work do you want done? So it's totally up to you. Do you get a good response from emailing the leads, or is phone call better? Both. I would say more deals get done via phone call than email, but we've done it both ways. So there's no right or wrong way. Doesn't matter as long as you get the deal done. Thank you. That's a good idea. Another Facebook group could be good. Yes, you can. You can generate and contact 50 leads within 30 days. Absolutely. I can generate 50 leads in a day. So yeah. And that's not to sound, I don't want that to come across as bragging, but my point there, guys, is there's a lot of leads and they're fairly simple to get once you know where to look. I do like to use a specific attorney in every state that I'm in. It's good to use an attorney that's licensed in the state that you're working in. This is a fantastic question. When getting the course, would you recommend going through it first and then taking action, or taking action along with the course? The latter. It's better to watch a module and then go implement what you learned versus consuming all of it and then going. That's what I say that in the beginning. My best students, that's what they do too, is they watch a section and then they go implement and they act on what they learned. Then they come back, they watch the next section, and then they go and implement. And that's how the course is ordered. It's chronological order. So step 1, find your leads. I teach you how to do that. Then go find your leads. Step 2 then is next. Learn how to research, learn how to skip trace, learn how to do that in the course, then go do it. And that's the pattern you want to follow. Avo.com is where I find attorneys. Live calls. I don't know if there's any recorded live calls in there. I should go back and look. Should add that for sure. Have I done commercial Mo's? The one we're working on one property right now that was a store, like a storefront property. I've seen, this wasn't a true commercial. It's not a true multi-family deal either. We did a triplex once. That was like a $200,000 overage. I've seen some, foreclosures that generate very large overages in California that were commercial. One of the biggest deals, I wasn't able to do it because there was it was a messy situation, but it was like a $700,000 overage. It was crazy, and it was from a commercial property. No, you don't have to join the Facebook group if you buy the course. It's just there as an option. My VA contact is included in the course. How long did the process take in Arizona? It was about 4 or 5 months, if I remember correctly. Sure, Dan, just share your login info with your business partner. That's fine. Are there any states that you do not have an attorney? Yeah, states that I'm not currently working in, I don't have attorneys in. Yeah. It's 2 V's, AVVO. Real estate, foreclosure attorneys are best to start with. They seem to know better, but don't limit yourself to a certain type of attorney. As long as the attorney knows about surplus funds then, or is willing to learn with you, then that's what really matters. Okay. I don't refer my personal attorney, and the reason I do that, guys, is because I was part of a program that referred their attorneys out. And what ended up happening is that attorney got so bombarded with questions and just answering questions. She wasn't even doing deals, that I almost lost $17,000 because that attorney didn't take me seriously. I referred a deal to her, and long story short, she didn't check if there were surplus funds. She didn't verify. The court said there wasn't any. The court was wrong. Lucky for me, I referred it to another attorney, and there ended up being close to just under $100,000. And so what I learned from that is, if you give out your attorney to the whole wide world, and then they get bombarded with questions and people that don't even have deals, then they don't take you seriously, and you could lose money because of that. And that case was a $17,000 net profit case. So I was like, I have to reserve my attorneys for the students that actually have deals and partner on deals. But that's why I teach how to find your own attorney too. I've done overages in Maryland. I have not in Virginia yet, and no in DC. Commercial mortgage overage, same process. You file the claim. It's the same. You can start the benefit. So this is a good question. Would you recommend starting in your own state? You don't have to start in your own state, guys, but the benefit is if you do start in your own state, like let's say in your own county, the benefit of that is you could possibly meet someone and talk to them face to face. You don't have to do that. And I don't always recommend that. I mean, that can be risky, right? But I personally have done that. I've personally knocked on people's doors to, get them to sign up. I've signed paperwork in people's garages as they're moving out of the house. So that's one of the benefits of working in your own state. However, you don't have to work your own state. You can work any state you want. So you're not limited. Cool. Well, we're at about an hour and a half. So I think we'll shore it up here. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much. I'll post if you guys aren't following me on my YouTube channel, I'll probably post a recording of this so that you can refer back to it on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Hope that helps, guys. I have used DocuSign, yes. All right. So I don't know who asked this. Let me see this last question. So guys, when you're waiting on the every state has different timelines, right? So that's going to determine how long you wait to go after the overage. Here's what I would recommend. If the money is available, find the homeowner as quickly as possible and get them signed up. Even if the money's like not available to claim, at least you can get them signed up, and then when it becomes available, then you file the claim right away. Hopefully that helps. No, refer to the 50 state guide on the laws so you know the different waiting times. All right, guys. Cool. Well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. We'll see you later. I'll post the link one last time. If you don't want to use it today, just copy it, paste it in a Word document real quick or a text. And if it's still working tomorrow or something, feel free to use it tomorrow. That's totally fine. You know, just copy it and save it somewhere, or post it in a web browser and favorite it. So I'll give you one more minute to do that. Just copy the link and save it somewhere so you have it. And if it's still working, awesome. You can use it at any time you want. Well, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. And again, free resources, obviously the YouTube channel, Overage Syndicate, Nick Fullmer, and then free Facebook group, Overages, Excess Proceeds, Surplus Funds, How to Profit. That's the name of the Facebook group. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I hope that was valuable. And maybe we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. See ya.